The game that is about bizarre imaginative weapons and, well, it's only about the weapons really. This is Ratchet & Clank. Ratchet & Clank from 2016 is a reimagining of the first Ratchet game from 2002, and at the same time it's based on the Ratchet movie from 2016. So it's a remake, a licensed game, a reboot and an original game all in one. Confused? No need to be. This game is all about the weapons. While the game may look like a 3D platform in the vein of Super Mario Odyssey or A Hat in Time, there is very little in terms of tricky platform jumping or adventuring here, and a whole lot of shooting. Homing missiles, bombs, sniper rifles, and a weapon that turns the enemy into sheep, this game has it all. Unfortunately, everything in the game except for the weapons is mediocre. Okay, so the graphics are nice to look at, but nothing about the level design, the story, or the enemies are remarkable. The enemies are nicely designed, but they just run right at you like in a game from 2002. It's kind of fighting the flute over and over again, except it's a more diversely designed flute, and Master Chief never had a weapon that couldn't turn the enemies into sheep, of course. But basically your best plan is just to use the weapon that makes the enemies dance instead of attacking you, and then you let them have it with whatever weapon you have the most ammo for at the moment. The first hour is particularly terrible. With just 2 weapons, both of which run out of ammo all the time, the game is a complete bore. I understand that the game needs to start with some kind of tutorial, but this is awful even by modern tutorial standards. However, as soon as you get a few more guns and you can upgrade them to hold more ammo, the real fun begins. Shooting in this game is plain wonderful, and luckily you are shooting at things most of the time. Quite a lot of the cutscenes are taken straight from the movie, which is kind of jarring since they have a faster flow of events than cutscenes in games usually have. And they feel more like, well, scenes from a movie. The story is something like The Incredibles or Buzz Lightyear movie, but without the endless imagination and spot-on humor that Pixar usually brings to the table. Unfortunately, you can't play with English voices and Swedish subtitles. You can only play with English voices and English subtitles, or Swedish voices and Swedish subtitles, which is stupid to say the least. I can't remember my last few Pixar movies stopping me from choosing English voices with Swedish subtitles. Why would they? The game reminds me in several ways of Toy Story 3, the video game. The action is better here, but that game was more heartfelt and entertaining. There are tons of jokes, but most of them are jokes that felt old 20 years ago. I mean, even all the jokes about social media probably felt old 20 years ago. But even if the jokes are not funny, they do add to the feel-good dimension of the game. Most of the jokes are about evil guys being over-the-top evil, big corporations being evil, and evil guys in charge of big corporations being evil. So nothing new there, especially not in the video game industry. But in the end, all the jokes actually works as shallow but effective characterizations of the bad guys and the dimwit good guys, rather than something that is supposed to be funny. And who cares about the story anyway? You just want to blow things up, and blow stuff up you do. Collecting weapons, upgrading weapons, leveling up the weapons and collecting cars to gain all kinds of bonuses in your hunt for better weapons is so addictive. I'm also a big fan of the fact that you have a spaceship and can travel to different planets. From a gameplay perspective, all you do is picking a different level of a list, but I have a thing for this kind of setup where you're flying a spaceship and you can travel to different kind of planets. All in all, Ratchet & Clank is a mediocre game with amazing weapons. It would have done well with a Metroid kind of opening, where you start with a whole bunch of weapons that you can run wild with, and then you lose them and you desperately want to collect them all again. But if you can just get past that really boring first hour, there is lots of action to be found here. The good. The weapons. More weapons. Even more weapons. Upgrading and leveling the weapons. The weapons. The bad. Bland story. The jokes are not funny. The first hour is really boring. Everything except the weapons and the graphics is lackluster. When all is said and done, I give Ratchet & Clank 6 out of 10. If you want a 3D platform adventure with jumping fun and surprises, I would recommend Super Mario Odyssey and A Hat in Time over this every day. But if you don't care much for tricky platform jumping puzzles and hidden secrets, and you just want to shoot at everything and anything and turn people into sheep, you should definitely check this game out. Thank you for watching, I will see you in our next review.